punishment them. The godly eat to their heart's content, but the belly of the wicked goes hungry. Now, did any of that version offend anybody in here or make you rise up flags of disagreement? There are a few places to where they couldn't improve on what King James translated, and they used the same translating. But it's the most modern version, and I want to retouch on a couple of little points before we finish with 13. Was anybody blessed by hearing the Living Translation? Got your mind to thinking a little bit? Point. Did anybody have any trouble following in their version of whatever your version was along with it? Did not the implication and the meanings match? This we done this morning is about to change in the very near future if we're not careful. If we're not so daggone careful, it's going to change drastically. We're to bear in line. The Bible says, and I don't want to start no arguments, but I want to be honest, I want to be upfront, and I want to be very obedient. Verse 22 says, a good man leaveth inheritance to his children's children, not your children. And God corrected me on that very severely. Not your kids, your grandkids. Why do we say that we should? God has a purpose and a reason for everything he does. And God does something that we don't do. He never changes. And when I sat right there behind Queenie Wednesday night, and we're studying the book of Moses, and we're studying the life of Moses, and the pastor was teaching Wednesday night, and he was talking about how rough he felt he was on his first 3 kids. Well, ain't nobody want to get in an argument as far as discipline, who had the worst discipline, who had this and who had that. In 2 Chronicles 7:14, it says that if my people who are called by my name will turn to the old ways. That's not exactly the lump sum. If we would turn back to what worked. But how many would believe that you was a little bit more lenient than your daddy was or your mama was on you to your kids? And I for some reason, grandparents spoil grandkids. Just a fact of life. Does that mean they don't supposed to grow up and imitate their siblings or imitate their oh God help me, their parents? As I was raising my children, pictures of my dad and my mom would come into my spirit whenever time it come around to discipline. And y'all heard the stories. My dad would use anything he can get his hands on when it come time to correction for myself. And I don't hold it against my dad one iota. And the story goes on from there. But my mama, she'd rather take a whipping than give me a whipping. And how I sensed that is remarkable. She'd whip me. She'd make me go cut the switch that I was going to get whipping with, and she said, "You know what you got to have. Don't you bring back a little stinker. You go back out. You'll keep making the trip out to find till you bring me back the right switch." But she didn't grab anything. She made me go get a switch. Now, if I would mimic that upbringing to the T, would the chances and results of that upbringing be more enhanced than if I changed the direction? Would the chances of my children being such as me be better or less, greater or less than if I did it another way? The Bible gives us that answer. God never changes. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. So whatever got us through, what's it? Lord, I didn't want to go down this road. The baby boomers. I trouble coming up with the terminology that was used during the baby. I remember I've ever heard of the baby booming age. World War I and World War II, the baby boomer generation. A few of us are from that time. But today, and I want to read this out, a good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. That's the King James Version of that chapter, or that verse. How many would you like to grab a hold of Bill Gates' wealth? Now, to my knowledge, he's not saved. He's not an evangelist. He's not a minister. But he's one of the world's wealthiest men to this day. And the reason I use Bill Gates is I watched some kind of infomercial yesterday, scrolling through. And he happened to be on it. And I've never thought much of Bill Gates. Not knowing him, I really shouldn't even voice that opinion. But knowing the attributes of his life tend to sway me. Y'all pray for me. I know the rest of you don't do that, but y'all pray. But his wealth is stored up for us. And I can't think of the other guy's name, software guru. Wasn't Bill Gates or iPhone or something? Wasn't that his number one deal? What is it? Apple. That's what I'm trying to think of. Bill Gates and apples. And that goes together like mud and... But with that being said, that the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. And it tells you about the food of the poor, but there is that destroyeth the want of judgment is justice. We moved up and we covered this last week, and I know the Lord had an intent for doing it. But we live in a world to where reverence is not taught. Oh my, oh me, it doesn't make no difference.